event, that normal browser event, and this one is the native event. This one is the native event. This is the synthetic events, right? That is the basic point you should know. So now in React, we have to use all synthetic events. All are synthetic events, right? So how to use these events, how they work, we will see one by one. We will learn about that point. So I will upload this diagram to you. That entire diagram I will upload. Just some definitions you need to know. So React 17 plus versions. React 17 plus version use synthetic event object. So it is a wrapper that makes the browser native events compatible across all browsers. So it is derived from events are derived from synthetic events are derived from synthetic base synthetic event. Events are derived from base synthetic event. So that is the base synthetic event. So first point here, the basic flow I will give. User triggers event from UI. Browser native event is triggered. It adds a React event plugin. Plugin uses synthetic event object as wrapper. It uses delegate event delegate mechanism. It uses event delegate mechanism to point towards the function. Subscriber function executes and updates the state. Updates the state. React uses reconciliation with diff mechanism. And updates to actual DOM. So virtual DOM is equal to actual DOM. No change detected. Virtual DOM is not equal to actual DOM. That means change detected. So here what will happen? Reconciliation is the process of updating actual DOM. When change detected, it is the process of updating actual DOM when change detected. Right. So here you should know one point. On click is synthetic event and on click is browser event. You can say native event. Almost all synthetic events are same as browser events except few changes are there. Some event names are little different. Almost all other event names are same, just only capitalization it is in camel case. Some events are little change in name. For example, you will have a event called in JavaScript browser event on DBL click. On DBL click is for double click. But in synthetic event, it is not on DBL click, it is on double click. Complete word. These type of some changes will be there in synthetic event. Majority are same. But one very important concept. There are so many events, but for handling two-way binding, it is mandatory to define the event on change. So that means React uses one-way data binding. I already explained that. To enable two-way binding, generally two-way binding can be handled in other your JavaScript using different events. But in React, it's not possible. React two-way binding can be done only with one event, that is on change. On change. For example, I will show you. Actually, if you are dealing with JavaScript, you can do through any event. There is no problem. For example, I will show you here. For example, here there is a text box. Input type is text and a placeholder username. Okay. And below I will put a paragraph. Now what we are going to do is we are going to define here on load body load. Okay, we'll have a script. So function body load. Right. So here we have an ID txt name. This general JavaScript I'm showing. Suppose we have a variable called uname. This is having some John. Now document dot get element by ID txt name dot value is equal to uname. That means we are updating here. You can see that's what we are having. That means the value, yeah, the value is attached to text box. And what is the point is you are not writing any event. You are not writing any event, but still it allows you to make change. However, the change is not updated, right? But it is allowing to make change. This is what React will not allow. That means React, what it does, it gets the value, attaches to UI, and it will not allow to modify until or unless you explicitly ask it to allow. That means now generally what happens is that's one point. Another point is suppose we are using document dot query selector and paragraph inner HTML, we are using uname. Okay. Let's make this variable global. Huh? Okay. Now you can see it is there, John. Now, whenever I do some modification inside this, it should update below. It should update there. Then usually what we do, we will write, which event I can write? Any event. Any event I can write on blur, on change, on key up, on key down, on key press. Any event I can write. For example, I am using on blur. On blur change name. Okay. What this have to do? Function change name. What it should do? So it should update this uname. Uname is equal to document get element by ID txt name dot value na, and that uname must be displayed inside the paragraph. Okay, that I will update in the paragraph. Currently I am using which event? Blur. Means what? I clicked here, I made some change and I entered some new value. After that I blur. Blur means lose focus, click outside, then it will change. You can write any event. Any event means on blur, on key up. If I write on key up, what will happen while typing itself? It will change. But this is not allowed in React. React will not allow. React allows to update the changes in the value only through one event, and that event is on change. Other events you cannot. So that means two-way binding can be handled only through which event? On change event. Let's try and see how it works in React. That means what is the point about this in React, right? So what is another key point here? So here enabling two-way binding. Enabling two-way binding. React provides several synthetic events. React provides several synthetic events. So two-way binding, two-way binding can be configured only by using on change event. Only by using on change event. So two-way binding can be configured only by using on change event. By using on change event. So React key feature is one-way binding. React key feature is one-way binding. It will not allow update into value. It will not allow updates into value if not configured with on change. It will not allow updates into value if not configured with on change. Right. So, for example, syntactically, suppose input type is text and value is equal to some uname, some value, and you return on blur is nothing but so some event on blur and some event will happen. So this is so blur will not allow changes. Blur is not going to allow changes. So what is the correct one? We have to define value, some uname, and what is the value on change. That's how we need to define. Allows changes in value. Otherwise, you cannot change. You write any event, it will not work. You have to write only on change. Then why you need other events? Other events are required for various other situations. That means first you allow change. After changing, suppose I want to verify every character they are typing, then I will use key up. I have to verify whether the name entered is according to my requirement or not. That I will do after typing by using which event blur, right? That means other events are used for other validation purpose, but collecting the value that is being updated can be done only by using on change. Only by using on change. You cannot use any another event for that. Let's see this so you can understand. I showed you that in HTML, JavaScript, I showed you already. I used on key up, I used on blur. I can use any event. It is working fine. But see, let's go to here one small example I will show. In the components, I will add event demo. And here I will give event demo dot .jsx. Okay, let's create export function event demo and return this. So I will use a container fluid. Okay, I'm just giving one simple startup. I will keep this event demo and let's run this. So we are starting this and that's there. Okay, it's empty. Let's go to event demo and here I'm having a constant username set username is equal to use state. It is currently empty string or some value. We'll put some value. Okay, I need to bind this data binding. Okay, I need to bind this with a text box. Input type is equal to text and text box have a value. The value is coming from user name and below I will put here so hello and I want to get that user name. Okay, it is showing like this. hello username it is shown. Now what is the point is, see, you are having, you are binding a value, you are binding a value to this text box. In JavaScript, you saw that I was able to make the change, even I haven't written, right? But here I cannot change, it's not working. I'm trying to delete or type, it's not allowing. That is one way binding. Okay, let's do one thing. We will write a function here, handle name change. Any name you can give. Now, what should happen is when user is changing the name, this function should fire up. Then what we will do here, I am writing an event on key up. On key up means for every character I am typing. Which function it should use? Handle name change. Actually, in your JavaScript, what you do, you use a function call like mechanism. You use a parenthesis. Am I right? Here we don't need that because I told you it is a delegate mechanism. Delegate means function pointer, means you just need a function name. You just need a function name. Which function it should execute? Just name of the function. So that means on key up, it will point towards which function? Handle name change. That's what I explained in last session. Function uses a delegate mechanism, function pointer, event delegate mechanism. And see here, what happens? I return on change. Okay. Observe carefully. I return it and observe here now. Here, I am trying to click and modify. It's not working. That means I return on key up. It's not allowing because modification of value can be done only by using which event? On change event. On change event I return. Now let's see. I click here and now I am not still allowed. Why it is not allowing any change? Because what you have to do, so whenever change occurred, we have to collect the value of this text box and update into username. Na? We have to update. Here we don't use any DOM method. How to collect the value of this text box? How to collect the value of this text box? Yesterday I told you that every event have two arguments. One is this, another one event. That means current element details you can access by using this, and event details you can access by using event. What is the point about React synthetic event is React synthetic event will have a default event argument. It will have a default event argument, that is event. Only one argument is there. I showed you listener na yesterday. Similarly, that means you don't need to pass any argument. By default, one argument will be there that refers to E. This is a formal name. You can give any name, but it refers to event. That is the reason we have an habit of writing E or event like that. And through this E, we can access the element details. We can access event details. How to access element details? To access element details, we need E dot target. To access event details directly, E dot client text and all. So here, what we have to do now? We have to access the current text box value na, and we need to update into username. So what we have to do? Set username. Into that, we have to set E dot, what is it? Target dot, what is it? Value. That is nothing but text box value. Now you are collect here, no more DOM methods. Get element by ID, name, query selector, we don't use. We collect the value through event argument. And you see now, I will click here. I will enter. I am making change. It is working now. It is working. And if I do this using any another event like on blur, I'm using it on blur, and you observe carefully, it's not allowing to change. And you can identify the warning. Actually, you can inspect and you can see the warning. It says that You provided a value property and without an on change handler. What does it means? That means it is read only. You cannot modify. That means it is mandatory that you should use which one? On change. On change, we have to collect the value, then it can update the value. It can update the value. So here so many important points you should know. So I will give a step-by-step process here how event binding works. So first point here, every event handler requires a subscriber function in component. Every event handler requires a subscriber function in component. Every event handler requires a subscriber function in component. Handler uses a delegate mechanism to invoke the function. That means you have a function handle click. Roughly I am giving. And we have a button on click is equal to what is it? It should point towards handle click. That's how we need to write. That is the first thing you should know. Handler uses a delegate mechanism means it is a function pointer. You have a function inside component and on button click, it will point towards that function. Now, what is another concept here is